we're stepping into a quiet storm of some life-altering news, right? A diagnosis isn't just, it's just not the diagnosis you deal with, but it's the things leading after that, the day-to-day. And that's kind of what we step into part 2 of The Flip. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for everybody who watched the first one. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We even got some feedback. People were face-to-face telling us about it. I do want to thank Daniel again for showing up with the courage. And when we left off last time, we talked about you're finding out right now that you have a tumor.
Yes.
Right? And that it does need to come out. So I kind of wanted to like wrap my mind around it and just kind of it's like the reaction to the diagnosis, basically. It's like, the title of it. And I guess after the diagnosis, like, it's kind of crazy to even ask this, but like, how did you feel emotionally? Like, the landscape of that, like, how did that look? Because you're finding out, we kind of talked about it in the first podcast, but you find out you're going to be needing surgery, right? And eventually you told us that you did it, but I just want to know, like, what's your thought process when you first find that out? There's like weeks before you actually get your first surgery.
So as soon as I found out in the emergency, I walked into the emergency 6 days after I got married.
Let's set the stage though. So you're on a bed, and who's next to you? Your family, right?
Yeah, my brothers are in the
everybody's
hospital every single day.
Okay.
There's way too many people in the waiting room. We told way too many people, and everybody started telling everybody, and that place was super packed.
Okay.
So I don't know what's going on, like, outside of what me laying in the hospital bed, but I do know that I was basically shocked. I didn't know really what to think. I just knew that it was crazy. Like, it was just wild to think that I was doing what I was doing, and then all of a sudden, everything stopped.
Right.
I was forced to just
so
stop.
Like, when you find out about everything, there's a doctor telling you, like, hey, I need everybody to step out. We need a moment of privateness, or you're like, nah, everybody's gonna hear exactly what's going on. Okay.
I kind of was. I was you know how I am. I'm like, and for everybody, that's listening, I'm an open book. I'm very honest and very blunt. So whenever somebody says something to me, it's everybody, my family, my friends. I got nothing to hide. So yeah, the doctor told all of us, what was going on, and I think I was more so just like blank, like just like in a daze, like I didn't really know what to think.
Kind of like you blacked out from it.
Yeah,
kinda.
I was blacked out. I've been blacked out for 2 years.
You're just coming back too. Okay.
Yeah.
So and man, I try to think about those the moment like you find out, your family finds out. I mean, so the doctor leaves, he gives you the information. So now you already know you're gonna need surgery. Pretty much. It's like an indefinite at that point. Like, he's like, we got to save your life. Okay. And then are any of your family members, like, is any of your family member like a conspiracy theory? Like, get a second opinion. There's no way. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to make light of it, but I just want to, like.
No, I wish, honestly.
Everybody's like, get in there and get the surgery.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because it's like a life-saving surgery.
Yeah, we had no idea. And one thing that I do regret, or I don't know, like, not necessarily regret, but I think about it now. That moment, I didn't get a second opinion.
Yes.
I listened to the doctor, and I'm still listening to the doctor now.
Right.
But I also now do my research, and now I'm going into it. Like, I know to do my research and get a second opinion. But at that time, at that moment, when they diagnosed me and when I had the first surgery, I didn't have no time. I didn't think about it. And I was like, okay. I was like, you're gonna have to have surgery then. They were pretty gung ho about it. So
The so the moment you find out you're gonna have surgery, we kind of talked about this in the first one. The moment you find out, there was a time on our first podcast we talked about you got some strength from a relationship or whatever. There is a time where you pulled for that strength,
yeah,
to lose all that weight,
yeah,
to go 100 days hiking. Like, you just went on this health tear, right?
yeah.
I remember you eating a lot of the same stuff, and I was like, man, I want to do that too. Like, I want to see if I could do that at least for like 2 months. But like, very inspiring. So you find out you have to do another tall task.
Yeah.
Life altering.
The tallest.
The tallest. Yes. So what's the mental strength at this point? Like, did it kick in again? Are you feeling defeated? Like,
it honestly, if I'm being honest about it, it has not kicked in yet.
okay.
Even now, today.
Right.
But I know it's there. Like, I know to get through the surgeries and the recovery and what I've done, and like you know, I'm saying it from my perspective, but everybody that's watching in and looking and seeing what I do, they think something other than that.
Right.
They think like one of my buddies told me recently. He said that I'm wired different.
Right.
I don't even think about that. Like, I'm mad at myself because it hasn't clicked yet.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and I know people are like listening, and people get mad that, you know, I treat myself that way, but that's how I've always been. And I'm very hard on myself, so it hasn't clicked yet.
Okay.
But it's there. It's gonna click, and when it does, I'm gonna go on that same tear that I went on before.
Right. But from an outsider looking in, it kind of looks like you're dealing with so much and you're still like continuing to drive forward.
Yeah.
So it looks like dude's locked in, you know?
Yeah.
And the reason why I asked who was in the room when he told you the diagnosis, because I was sitting down and I was like, again, I like to put myself in it, you know what I mean? Just to like think about like some things I want to ask you during this. And I say, what was the hardest conversation about this? Like, who's the person you had to talk to, and you had that moment where it's just like, it's the hardest conversation you had to have with a family or friend, if you think back at it.
My brothers.
Okay.
My two brothers. I mean, that's the closest thing to me that's ever been. Like, Freddie was born, and then 2 years later, I was born, and then 4 years later, Joseph was born, and the three of us, ever since we were born, we've been close.
Right.
We're 40 years old now, 36 to 40 years old. 36 to 42 years old is how old we are, and we've been close for that long. So, talking to them, letting them know what's going on, that was tough.
Right.
Like I said, they were in the hospital every single day. They did not miss a day. They were there after the surgery, before the surgery, every single day. So, that was tough. Just letting them know what's going on, or not even letting them know they knew what was going on. Not really, just sitting there with them was tough. So that was hard.
Right. And we talked about your strength, but when people find out about it and their responses to it affect us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when people are finding out about it in real time, and they're showing up, and their reaction to everything that's going on, how did that affect you? Did that empower you? Did it like kind of put, like, what was your emotional state when you would, because when I showed up, I was kind of like, you're gonna get through it, you're gonna do it, and I just really didn't know what to say. You know what I mean? I was just trying to be there.
Yeah.
Didn't really have any words. So people's reaction to what was going on, like, how did that affect you emotionally?
I don't think it really affected me. Like I said, everything happened so fast. Like it was all happening so fast. There were so many people in the waiting room, and everything was so packed and so fast. I didn't have time to really think about anything. I just was just laid up, basically,
Right.
out eating like shit all the time. Basically, like
Right.
that's all I kept on thinking about was
Yeah.
like what my next meal is, because I was on such a crazy
Yeah, like a roller
healthcare.
coaster. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
From
like
the
healthcare, like before that. So I was always super disciplined. But then as soon as I laid down in the hospital bed, I was like, oh, screw
yeah,
this. I was
cut it
like,
loose.
bring me peace, fish, and chips. Bring me a burrito. Like, bring me a Snickers. I was just eating like crap,
Right.
like an asshole.
What it? So the doctor tells you this stuff is going on, and you just told me right now, like you regretted some things. What was some of the, like, maybe like three questions some of the biggest questions you could have asked at the time? I mean, now we're looking back at it. We're like armchair quarterbacking, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But maybe just for like, if someone was watching this and they maybe have going through with a loved one or something, like what were three questions that you could have asked that could have really made a difference in maybe your healing or just
So, three questions that I actually did ask.
okay.
Um,
Yeah.
How big is the tumor?
Right.
They knew that it was a golf size, inside my head.
Okay.
Golf size. So we knew it was really big. The doctor that did my surgery, he said that it was the biggest that he's ever operated on.
I see.
Yeah. The second question was, where is it located? So the tumor was located on the stem of my brain. So it makes it a little bit difficult to do the operation because of the location of
Location
the
of where it's
tumor.
at. Yeah.
You know, people may think that are uneducated, that don't know what's going on. You can't just go in there and take the tumor out, unfortunately, because of where it's at.
Right.
Because it's on the stem of my brain. The third question is obviously if it's cancerous, and which it wasn't, thank God.
Right.
So those are the top three for sure questions.
Questions that you were asking. So we talk about the moment, like because you kind of like alluded to this. You said that it hasn't really sunk in yet, or has it? Like,
No.
it still hasn't sunk in yet.
Yeah, I'm still recovering, so like that goes back to what we were talking about. Everything hasn't clicked yet because I still feel the way that I feel.
Right.
I like my body feels like it's been hit by a truck.
Right.
I'm in a lot of pain constantly. So once that goes away and hopefully everything gets better and I'm 100% recovered, then I honestly hope to God by then everything's clicked and I'm back to doing what I need to do.
Right.
Hiking, working out, eating right, getting in shape, and just kind of going on the tear that I was going on.
So going back to like that first surgery, what was the time frame between like when they told you to the time you actually are on the operating table?
They had to wait 2 weeks. So the day that they told me that I had a tumor,
Right.
they had to wait 2 weeks to get me ready for surgery. So I sat in the hospital. They didn't even let me leave. They wouldn't let me leave the hospital because they were so worried about me. It was crazy when they told me. All of a sudden, I just didn't know how to walk anymore. It was so weird. So I don't know if it was in my brain or if I really was just going on fumes or not.
Right.
Like always. It was so weird.
Wow. And then because I think I see you before your first surgery, and you look like you were good in spirits. You looked you were the nurses. You guys were messing around.
Yeah.
You know, they all like befriended you and stuff. And I think about like those last days when you're like going into surgery. I don't know. I don't know why I'm so like focused on that, because you're about to go through a surgery, and I just wanted to know like the days leading up to it. You kind of were saying like you're eating whatever you wanted, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
this is your last
basically.
hurrah. Like, is
Yeah.
that kind of how it was?
Yeah.
Or okay.
Yeah, honestly, like
And did the doctor give you like a percentage or anything of like how this would go? He just
No.
said we need to go get it.
go get as much as he can get out. Because again, where it's located, so he just knew that he was gonna try to get as much of the tumor out of my head as possible. So at that moment, they knew that the approach was gonna be to get as much of the tumor as they can out, and then I was gonna possibly go through radiation to try to shrink the tumor down even more,
Right.
which I did do. So that was the plan. I think I like to say, and I like to think that I've been on a 2-year vacation. Is the way I look at it.
It's a good way to look at it. You I mean, you probably couldn't at the time, but did you ever think, or now would you give somebody some advice to like look at the surgeon? Because that surgeon's
Yes.
all he does. That's his specialty, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Do the research and get as much information as you can out of whatever, YouTube and the internet, I guess. I mean, I know it's hard to believe everything, but just do the research and get as many questions answered as possible. And we did, for the most part, we did research it. And I think laying down in the hospital bed, sometimes I was Googling stuff, and
Right.
I was reading things, and I was getting in my own head, and people would tell me like, "Yo, like stop
doing
reading that shit."
Yeah.
And it's like I couldn't help it. Like, I mean, I want to know what's going on too. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's like it's tough. It's like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But
And this moment might be, if you can't remember, it's okay. I totally understand. But like, what advice did a family member, friend give you that like really pulled you through? Like you really hung on to those words, and you're like, kind of like, that really made an impact to me. You know what I mean? Like,
everybody for the most part, like my brothers, you even, my wife. But honestly, one thing that does stick out a lot is Israel would always text me.
yeah.
And he just always had like encouraging words and like Bible scriptures that he would send me. And he was just always just telling me like, just be who you are, get through this. You're gonna get through this. And he would just say good stuff all the time. He still does it. I mean, he texted me yesterday, so
Yeah.
like I still talk to him often. So he's always texting me really good words of encouragement.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an infectious dude. I mean,
Oh,
we
yeah.
hung out with him at the game. He has a
Yep.
lot of wise words.
He does.
So we talk about, family members, friends. They're telling you all this stuff. Some of it encouraging. I'm sure some people had some really big reactions to where you were just like, you know what I mean? You almost had to console them because, it feels like they're tapping into them. But at any point in time, do you ever like decide to cling to faith?
I was trying to, and yes, there was a point in time in the hospital where my cousin Chris showed up and he prayed over me and right before surgery. And at that moment, like those couple of days leading into surgery, I felt something for sure. I don't know what it was, but like everything just kind of left my body. Like I was like, we're gonna do this. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Were you a big faith person before this
No.
happened? Okay.
Yeah, kind of.
Not a huge practicing,
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
believe in it. Yeah.
Like in high school, my senior year, and like the first like few years after graduating, I went to church often. And was involved with the club, the basketball team, and
Hmm.
like we did a lot of stuff with like the teens growing up. So that's been there. Like I mean, it had the belief has been there, but a matter of just like of finding it again. I It was really hard for me to find it, like, and it still is. I mean, it's a battle that I go through for sure.
Okay, it's like an everyday battle.
Yeah.
So we we're doing this breaking it up in 6 parts. You know what I mean? I really wanted to dive into it with you about this, just for people out there who are maybe already know, or people who don't know what was going on. So this is the first surgery you go through, right? Yep. Okay. So then you come out of surgery, right? What's like the first like you come out of surgery, and but how long was it, by the way, the first one?
17 hours.
17 hours.
Yep. The first surgery.
So you could have flew to what, London? Where could you?
China, probably.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then the first time you wake up, who's like the first person that you see?
My wife. I remember seeing her right away, and my brothers. My wife and my brothers were inside the room. So from surgery, they wheeled me from surgery to get an MRI right away.
Wow.
And then
They want to see what they
oh
did.
yeah,
Wow.
I probably had. So I had an MRI scheduled yesterday, but they canceled it. So I have one scheduled on Monday.
All right.
The MRIs are pretty frequent. I've had about 20 of them since like all of this has happened. Honestly, like I mean, I go through MRI. The MRIs are the worst part because you're awake for them,
Right.
and you're inside a machine, and you feel trapped basically
right.
for 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's the worst.
Yeah, for sure.
So they move you from the surgery room to the MRI,
And you're aware at this point. You're like getting wheeled
kind
over.
of
Okay.
kind of
coming out of it.
coming out of it, and then from the MRI room, they move you to your room,
Okay.
and that's where Jen, Joseph, and Freddie were at,
Okay.
waiting for me to get back. And when I got back, it was super late. If I remember correctly, it was like midnight, I think, so surgery started at like 6 a.m. Yeah, it was like midnight or something like that. And so they put a tube in your throat, and for the medicine.
Okay.
What's it called?
Catheter.
Yeah, catheter. And then like, so when you come out, they pull it out when you get out of surgery.
Okay.
And when they pull it out,
You gotta like learn how to
everything
do all that stuff.
everything feels crazy. Like the
God.
swallowing,
Yeah.
and like it's just like, and my breathing was rough, and I was telling one of the nurses like, "Yo, I can't breathe," and I'm all talking, and like I'm all like in panic and in shock, and like
You kind of got to learn how to swallow and do everything all over again.
yeah, it was crazy. So that was all happening in the beginning. I didn't know how to do it, and so that was happening, and then I was in a lot of pain. So one of the things
Where's your pain happening? Just around your head, or do you feel it in your body too? Or?
yeah, so inside my body,
Oh,
never,
wow.
not really my head.
Wow.
Like leading up to the surgery, yes, I had headaches
Okay.
to the point where I'd have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go take a shower because it hurt so bad.
Right.
And thinking, like, not knowing what was going on,
Right.
and then go back to bed
Just trying to
afterwards.
cool yourself off or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that wasn't happening. I wasn't dealing with headaches. What I was dealing with after the surgery, one of the things that the doctor said, when he walked in the next day to my room,
Mm-hmm.
he said, "Hey, I'm sorry. I know it feels like you've been hit by 10 trucks." That's
Wow.
exactly what it felt like.
He knew exactly what.
Yeah,
Wow.
he knew. And to this day, what I say is, right now today, I feel like I got hit by 1 truck.
Okay. So
But
it's getting
then-
better.
but then it was 10 trucks.
So I wanted to go back to it. So you come out of surgery, you see Jen, you see your brothers. What's their reaction to you right now? Are they like just
They were emotional.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I remember seeing them. I think you somewhat feel more scared
Yeah.
when you see the look on somebody's face and they look scared.
Right.
So, yeah, seeing Jen just quiet, just sad, and my brothers too, it made me scared. But, I mean, you can't help that. You can't, like, that look that you give off, you can't help it. So, it is what it is. But, I mean, I remember seeing a scared look in everybody's face.
Yeah.
Leading up to, afterwards, like,
Right.
so, I mean, I also seen, like, a sign of relief, like, in everybody's face. Like, you know, I think there's a lot of steps to this. Obviously, we're going through a lot of them.
Right.
And right now, today, we're probably in step 4 or 5. But, like, at that moment was step 1. And we didn't know it then, but we knew that we got through something. So it felt good knowing that we got through it, and we went in one end and we came out the other side.
Right.
And that's basically what it was.
So I like you say that steps. So you going into that, you get the surgery, you see their reaction and everything, and then at this point, I mean, do you even have like the strength to be like I don't need to do this again or something like that because
I didn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
So they will you into the MRI right after surgery.
Yep.
You go, you have the reaction with your family. The doctor sees you the next day.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay, so he sees you the next day, and then he gives you some news, right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
No. It was
Okay.
about 5 days
Really?
until we found out that he had to go in.
So
again.
what does he say to you that morning? The next morning, he just said everything was successful.
Yeah, everything was successful.
Gotta wait till swelling goes down,
Yep.
like stuff like
and
that.
we got to look at the MRIs and kind of see what the next steps are.
Wow.
But at
That dude's
moment,
eating breakfast, like looking at your MRI. Just
well,
trying
no,
to-
I didn't eat for like 3
Okay.
days. But at that moment, it was like we felt like we won.
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
we're celebrating a championship.
Yep.
We felt like we got somewhere. We felt like we're good.
Yeah.
We had
did
no
it.
idea. We had no idea what was about to happen.
No idea.
Nope.
So he comes in. This is 5 days later. He's about to give you some news, right? So who's in the room at this time? Like I just kind of want to
My
paint
brothers.
the picture. Okay, your brothers are there.
Yeah.
He comes in. He has something to say to you. And when the doctor, your surgeon, comes down and talks to you, It's for information. You know what I mean? He's just not dapping you up and saying like good job. Like he's gonna come and give you something next, or you're released or whatever, right? So when he tells you that next thing, can you walk us through kind of like what he told you?
Oh yeah, it was a Sunday.
Okay.
I remember. We were laying in. I was laying in the bed, and my brothers were there. And Dr. Smith walked in, and I was eating. I remember I was eating finally.
Okay.
So
we don't have the tube no more.
No That's more tube. I was
okay.
eating something. Surgery was on Wednesday, and today is Sunday. So we're on Sunday, and he walks in and he tells me, he said that he had to go in. He has to go in for a second surgery. Right away on Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
In 3 days.
Okay.
Yep.
On Wednesday, he tells you in 3 days.
So I had surgery on Wednesday, and then Wednesday a week later.
Wow.
Yeah. So he told me out of nowhere that he didn't get enough, and he needed to go back in to get more because he didn't feel confident enough.
Right.
Of how much he removed is what he thought.
Okay. And then at that time, your victory lap and all that stuff, you're done. Okay.
Yep.
And what's everybody's reaction to that? Like your brothers?
Just inflated.
Yeah.
Just like the highest of high to the lowest of lows
back
again.
Back to square one.
Yeah, back to square one. And I'm at this point after surgery 1. I have like a huge lump on my left side, like my whole left side, my body, and then also on my hip.
Okay.
So, and we know why. So that was part of the conversation in the beginning with Dr. Smith. Why am I like this? And it's because they put me on the hospital bed when they did surgery for 17 hours in a certain position.
Oh.
And for 17 hours, it did that to my body.
Wow.
My body is still like that to this day. So it's never going to get better, like I would imagine. But I have like a dent in my hip, like it's like a bowl.
Okay.
And then also just on the left side of my body is just kind of messed up. But and that's all because of how I was sitting
that
in
surgery
the position in the surgery bed.
Right. So they come, they tell you, I need to go back in there.
Yep.
And he even tells you the date when he's coming back in there. This is when we're prepping for surgery. Your guys are obviously deflated. Everything that you said. So that next surgery that you're going into, you can't really prepare for that one. I mean,
we thought we did.
Right. So it's just like emotional at this point. You're just like,
no. Well, we thought going into it, we thought that we were gonna be more prepared this time.
Right.
But it was completely different. I was throwing up the next time. It was so bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Since we are breaking it up in pieces, I kind of want to stop there. I mean, I think we got a lot out. We talked a lot about the moments leading up to it and everything. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I don't know if you guys seen, Daniel's been posting a lot more out there. Got to TikTok. Yeah. You got a lot of cool stuff, man. So we're also going to be posting some behind the scenes clips, some stuff that we're doing. We're doing a lot of exciting stuff. So really stay tuned. So go follow Daniel. Give us some of your handles, so they can find you. So they want to
Instagram you. At @ddidit23. YouTube channel is JDL3 Realty. JDL3 Realty is the YouTube channel, and the Spotify channel.
Okay, and you got also a website coming up soon?
Yeah, so I have the websites. The websites are live now. www.jdl3realty.com, That's the real estate website. And then on top of that, I created another website for the short-term rentals, which you can go on there and view and contact me on that. That one is Go Short Stay, www.goshortstay.com. And that houses all the short-term stays like Rocky Point, Sedona, Tombstone, Flagstaff, and then a couple more coming soon.
Cool.
But yeah, that's basically what it is. Everything is JDL3 Realty for the most part.
Nice. And then we'll be having some merch come out soon.
Yep.
Stay tuned. All right, everybody. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. This has been The Flip. We'll catch you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.